Hi guys, Penny Rose Journals. And I forgot my mic again. Sorry guys. That happens like literally almost every time, doesn't it? I just wanted to come along and just do a little bit of stenciling on this journal because, basically because I felt like it. So, for whatever reason, this seems to be my colour palette now. A bit of blue and purple. I just don't want too much going on with colour. I have these little ink things. I'm pretty sure I said I only had the browns, but I forgot I had these little tiny inks. They're pretty old, but they still work. So I will get going with these and see what we can come up with. Some of them work better than others now. Just going to use this old mahogany and some chipped sapphire. And just put a little bit of stenciling here and there for now. I've only got one stencil here with me. I might use another one later on, but yeah, I just wanted to sort of do a little bit today while I'm waiting for other things to be ready to move on with. I like these brushes. You see, everybody uses these nowadays. It's for this anyway. It's definitely easier to stencil with these than it is to use one of those little pads. It's, I think, better for your stencils too. So here we are, just a little bit of something there. I'm not too worried about where it goes or how much coverage it has. I just like to put a little bit here and there. I normally, I guess, put it on these pages that have a lot of text because you're not going to be writing over them anyway. And if you choose to stick paper over it and use it for writing space, then there's nothing in your way. It's just a bit of stenciling. It's not like there's anything with bulk or volume on the page, so you don't have to worry about working around it. You can just stick straight over the top of it. But it gives you a little bit of something to look at while you're flipping through the journal. And we'll put some on this side, eh? Put my finger right in my ink pad. Nicely done. Of course, you can do all this sort of stuff before you put your signatures in. Obviously, I guess it would be easier to excuse me, to get a good impression, just like with stamping. It's easier to get a good impression if your pages aren't already in the book, but yeah, I don't know, there's something I like about doing it once it's all together. Yeah. So this is the way I generally work. quite a pretty stencil. That's one I've cut on my Cricut. I'm very fortunate to have one. And I do actually cut a lot of stencils of my own. I prefer just cutting stencils as I decide I want them. Sometimes I just get in that mood, you know? You know that mood when you just want to make things, specific things. I'm not really sure why it strikes us like that, but yeah, just every now and again I'm like, oh, you know what, I want to just spend a day sitting and making stencils. I need some new stencils. And I guess I get the same with collaging and things like that. I'm like, oh, just it's a day for collage, or it's a day for jelly printing. Jelly printing often gets me like that. So yeah, it's weird, but that is how it seems to work for me. I don't know if it holds true for everybody, but yeah, some days I just want to do something specific. So I'll go with a bit of blue here. There we go, that's enough of that. If I decide to pull out another stencil, I will probably just go through and do that off camera. I mean, you've seen what I'm doing. It's not like you need to see every little thing. I mean, stenciling is stenciling, no matter what what pattern it is. So yeah, anyway, that's one of the things I'm doing going forward. So just to keep you up on what's happening with our book, I will continue on doing bits and pieces on camera, and then sort of stick them all together, and we'll actually have a video. Thanks for coming along, guys. It's been great to have you. Bye. Hi guys. Okay, I'm back. I just thought I might do a few tabs today. For the size of the pages. I'm digging around in the box next to me here for suitable scraps and bits and pieces. Those of you who've been around for a while know I've sort of got this box of fabric scrap and lace and whatnot next to my desk. So I am just pulling out a few bits and pieces that look interesting. Once I find everything that I think I need here, and I sort of start making tabs, I think I might fast forward this just a tiny bit so you guys are not sitting there for the rest of your lives watching me choose little bits of fabric to stick to pages. But yeah, it'll give you some idea of what I ended up doing as far as the tabs are concerned. Well, at this point, in any case. All right, let's get a move on. Okay, well, as you can see, I've got a bunch of neutral sort of palette bits of lace and fabric and ribbon and whatnot. I sort of wanted to keep things similar to the feel of the cover with the neutrals and the layering and whatnot. So yeah, I went with that. As for choosing pages, I don't worry too much about 2 tabs in this signature, 2 tabs in the next signature. There's no real point to my tabs in my books. I mean, obviously some people enjoy putting tabs to specific places. I don't care. I try not to put them one page after another, but that's really all. I like them to be on a protruding page, a page that sort of sticks out a little further than others so that you can obviously see them. And yeah, I just sort of flick through and pick a page and go from there. I'm not worried what sort of page. I like to use a more sturdy page. I don't usually use a tab one, just a writing page. That's just like, writing paper. It's a bit flimsy, it'll start flopping around and might end up tearing the page. So usually a more sturdy page, and using a page that's sticking out a little further than others. So, yeah. I really should get a book weight, shouldn't I? This section obviously is a voiceover, so I'm actually sitting here watching this video as I'm talking, and just watching myself balance that ruler on everything to try and sort of hold the pages open, going, I really need a book weight. Yeah. Who knows? I've probably got something more appropriate just sitting on my desk there somewhere, but that's what came to hand today. So, not really a lot to say, to be honest, about this sort of business. I mean, we all know how to do this. I did say I would show you everything I did, so I kind of didn't want to not show you all of this, but it's sort of, pretty self-explanatory. I just find little bits of fabric that go together, or little bits of paper that go together, whatever I like, and glue them to a side of a page. But yeah, I think I ended up doing about 6 or 8 of these, so there's quite a bit to look through, but not a lot to say. It's actually easier to chat with you when I'm chatting during the video, but there was a lot going on today, and I was just sort of taking a moment out to do this, and had my music going, and you can't just have your music playing in the background and then post it on YouTube. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So you are, and unfortunately for you all, you are not as, well, fortunately for you all, I don't know, you are now not subject to my choice of music, which is brilliant, I might say. I have terrific choice in music, but some may not agree, but I can't just put it on a video anyway, so I had to do a voiceover in the end of the day. So I hope you're all doing well. We'll fall back on all the old polite platitudes, shall we? I'm doing fine. The weather's lovely. It's summer over here. Obviously, the majority of my viewers, like everybody else's, come from the US because you're such a populous country. And it's the middle of winter there, so I'm sorry to make you all jealous and tell you it's the middle of summer here. And the weather's just been absolutely delightful these last few weeks, really. I've got nothing to complain about. Summer in Australia. No, they call it the land of never-ending summer for a good reason. Even our winters are very mild, but summer can get a bit hot on occasion, but at the moment it's fairly pleasant. I've been enjoying our summer this year. What else aside from this book have I been doing lately? I did some beetroot dyeing yesterday. I have a veggie patch here, a vegetable garden, and I had a very old beetroot. I say very old, a couple of years old, but that's pretty ancient for a beetroot. So I dug him up yesterday and cleaned him up and boiled him in a pot of water because he's a bit woody, not much good to eat. And yeah, I've been dyeing paper in him for the last couple of days. So I've got some beautiful pale pink hued sort of paper which I will show to you sometime soon. Just all sorts of paper. I didn't do it like I normally do my batch dyeing because there wasn't that much sort of liquid. I did do lots of different kinds of paper at the same time, but with my batch dyeing I actually bundle it together and tie it in sort of lots. But this time I just did the single pages, so I did some manila folder as well as some sort of dictionary page, an old planner page, just various papers that I found lying around that were blank at least on one side. So so I've got a bunch of pink paper now, which is very nice. I hadn't tried beet doing before. I mean, I knew you could do it, but I hadn't done it. I just happened to have this old beet and thought, let's do it. Let's go for it. Give it a go. And it's quite pretty. Yeah. What else have I done? Made lace flowers the other day. I dyed a bunch of lace. I got a whole heap of lace from bundles from a thrift store at one point. It's been sitting in a bag, sitting in a paper bag upstairs, waiting for me to do something with it. And there's quite a lot of quite short bits. So I took the whole lot and dumped it in coffee the other day, and then obviously dried it out nicely and whatnot, and decided to store it. And then all the little tiny pieces that I couldn't put on sort of spindles, if you want to call them that, I threw them in a bag and took them downstairs with a needle and thread the other day. And while I was sitting watching television with my daughter, I sat and made lace flowers out of them. And yeah, made them in 2 layers, put a button on top. And then when I was upstairs the other day, I used hot glue to stick the layers together. So yeah, I've got a new bunch of lace flowers in my collection. I'll pull them out and show those guys to you as well at some point. I'm fairly certain Shabby Dabby Doodah, Tina, has done lace flowers plenty of times, and I'll probably make them a similar way, but yeah, that's just something I can sit and do while I watch telly. I don't have to pay too much attention. And yeah, a bunch of ephemera to use, I guess, or decorative pieces to use for covers or page elements or something. So yeah, I think that's about all I've done recently. I decided the other day to try my hand at medieval limp binding, which is not as difficult as it sounds, I don't think. It sounds very fancy. I'm sort of halfway through doing that at the moment. Once I've done one and decided whether or not I'm any good at it. Yeah, that won't be a problem, I don't think. But yeah, once I've completed one and I've got one to show you, I'll show that one to you, and maybe do a video on how I did it, creating another one. So that'll be something that's coming up eventually. Yeah. Once I've finished with all these tabs, which won't be too long now, I think probably a couple more after this one. Then I am going to bind a book together, and marry our signature block up with our cover. yeah, it's time that this little girl became a full book, I think. By the way, I was informed at some point this morning. Her name is Sophia. I don't know where their names come from. They just come to me while I'm making them at some point. And today I found out her name was Sophia. So there we go. Sophia is the name of our book. And she will very shortly have all her tabs and will also be attached to her cover. So she will be a real book. It's a bit like Pinocchio, isn't it? I'm a real boy. Yeah, I know, there's something wrong with me. That's okay, as long as you can put up with me, we're all good. So I think this one is the last tab I'm going to put in here. Yeah, it looks like it. This will be the last tab, and then we'll move on to the binding, which again is not particularly interesting, I guess, if you've seen binding before, but again, I said I would show you my process, so you're getting the whole lot. Lucky ducks, you. Once the signature block has been put in, then it's just a case of decorating thereon. Of course, I have to make the front and back inside covers, but that doesn't take any longer than anything else that I do in the journal, so that will be a fairly quick process, and then it's just decorating her until I'm finished decorating, basically. So here we go. Here is her final look at her cover before she goes into it. I wasn't quite sure actually how to go about this. This particular stage that I'm doing now, I like to cover the spines, the inside of my spines, with cheesecloth and leave a little protruding over the top and bottom so that it sticks out of the cover. That is not a problem. I can do that on film without an issue, but the thing is I usually take it off my desk and pop it between my knees while I do it. So you can see me sort of considering a bit here what it is I'm going to do and how it is I'm going to achieve what I would normally achieve between my knees so that you can actually see it. Did not want to sort of try and swing my camera around and make everybody sick and, then give you a view of my lap and my knees and the whole shebang. It just didn't seem like the way to go. So I used her cover to sort of at least, check that my piece of cheesecloth was going to fit nicely. And then, I sort of balanced her on her tabs that we've only just put in the book, and managed to get it done. So it's not usually such a fiddly process for me. It's usually quite quick, but not being able to tuck her between my knees, it was a bit of a learning curve. So here we go. We're all sorted and ready to go though. Now when I do my gluing for this, I just touch my glue on either side of the spine as I go down the spine. It just helps draw out a really thin bead of glue over everything. This also secures your spine nicely, your signatures, your sewing, I guess. You see I sort of run it across here, but then I start sort of dabbing and dabbing all the way across. So I just touch the tip to either side of the spine there so that it drags some glue out across the threads. and then go up either side. I try to keep the strings from the signatures pulled down tight here and sort of into the middle. That way they stick there. It just helps secure everything, and I like the strings hanging out the back of on the bottom of my book spine. Just a personal thing. So you'll notice that most of my books have protruding threads out of the bottom. I like to lay my cheesecloth on top. You'll just see me pat it down a little bit, and then fold the sides over and pat them down. It just helps them stick, because enough glue comes through the cheesecloth for the sides to stick down as well. And then I just pop a little bit on the bottom and then the top, to fold over and make a neat edge, so that there is enough sort of protruding from the top and bottom to actually stick out of the book a little bit. So I have to sort of dab the glue on here. Obviously you can't run the glue across the cheesecloth. It just grabs the cheesecloth and takes it for a little walk. This way is probably the best way. I just feel and make sure there's enough room and then pat it down. And we'll do the same with the top. My glue was behaving itself today. We didn't get any glue eruptions in between the bits and pieces we were doing, which was delightful. It was all good. So nice to have a glue behaviour day. Right, just have a quick look. Check that's the height I like. Cut off that little bit of an overhang there so it doesn't get in my way later. And yeah, she's all ready to go into her little cover. You can see it just sticks up a little tiny bit at the top and then add a little tiny bit at the bottom there. Right, there we go. There she is. She's in her spot. Now there isn't any glue on the spine there, as you know. We don't usually stick down the spine when we make a book. I don't, just gives the book a bit extra ability to open properly. I just don't glue the spine in. I only glue the sides down. So we put plenty of glue here. Last thing you want is your signature block falling out of your book. So that's why I leave my fabric so long, and that's why I put so much glue down. I give it good coverage at first and just use the tip to sort of spread it a bit so I don't get too much bleed through. Most of this fabric will get covered, so it doesn't matter too much, but I like to try and eliminate it when I can. I just glued down a portion of it to begin with and tuck the signature block right back in there. Make sure it's all the way back, and then open the side of the book and stick my fabric down right into the edge of the spine there. Give that a bit of a rub down and make sure it's in the position I want it in. And once I've decided that it is, and it's all sort of not going to be too tight for the covers to open and whatnot, I'll give it a good rub down and then close the book and then move over to the other side. And we repeat the same process over here. once I have done the same on both sides, I'll go back and finish sticking down the rest of the fabric. And once it's all stuck down, I'll close the book and leave it for a little while, just to make sure it gets a really good bond. Nothing happens to it in between times to loosen it up, so it will probably sit for the rest of the day. I mean, it doesn't have to, it's just I usually move on to something else while I feel like it's drying, so usually this is the last thing I'll do in a book for the day, and leave it overnight. So move on to other projects, or doing voice recordings so that you can watch the projects I've just done. Actually, what I have to do is go outside and check what's left of my beetroot papers and bring them in. So, right, it's all opening beautifully. I'm happy with the way the back's stuck, and I'm going to move back to the front. I'll just balance the back of the book there up against my my glass, and while I work on the front, it just means there's no strain on the glue that I just put down. It just keeps everything sort of loose, so that nothing pulls or moves. So because I fold the edges of my fabric, or the ends of my fabric, over my spine piece when I'm making it, I have this fold inside the front of the book. I'm happy for that to stay there. It doesn't bother me. I cover it up anyway, but I like to glue it down properly, so that's what I'm doing here, just making sure there's a bit of glue in that fold to hold the fabric to itself, basically, just so that it's not loose anywhere. I'll put a thin layer of glue down and just pat it all down to where I want it. I think on this side I wasn't entirely happy with that that section there, so I sort of pulled it up and put a bit more glue under it. It just wasn't sticking to itself sufficiently for my happiness, if you like. I was not content with the way it stuck, so I fiddled around with it a little and put a little bit extra glue in, so that way I know it's all secure and it's all fairly neat and tidy, so that when I cover it up with an inside front cover, it'll look nice. See, I got a bit of bleed through with the glue there because I did put a lot in. Doesn't matter, that'll all be covered. It's just right next to the spine. I try to avoid the bleed through because you can sometimes see that. I don't like to take my inside covers right up to my spine because it sort of sometimes affects the way your book opens. Or closes, more to the point. Right, and we flipped over, and again I've balanced the front of the book this time up against my glass of water, and moving on to sorting the back out. So again, popping a bit of glue in between the fabric and itself there where it's folded. Just push that down and pull the whole thing up to where my glue was, my glue line, and then start there and make sure the rest of the fabric is glued down. So yeah, there you have it. You have now seen my entire process of popping my signature block into my cover. I hope that has been somewhat enlightening. Not too deadly boring. Yeah, I think the main thing is just to make sure it's well secured. Once the cover goes over that, it's not going to go anywhere. So thanks for coming along. It's been great having you here. I'll see you again next time. Bye.